I'm Bradford Ferguson with Rebellionaire.com, and I'm here today with Mayur Thaker at Fresh Jiva on Twitter and at Zacks Investment Research. He is an equity strategist with them, and he has some YouTube videos he does on some ETFs that they manage, and also his thoughts on economics. But today I want to talk a lot about Tesla Semi with Mayur, and also talk about Megapack. Mayur has been pestering Elon for a long time for additional little nuggets on Tesla Semi, and I think I might be starting to understand why and want to share this with you today. So, Mayur, thanks for joining us.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
So you were starting to share with me about autonomy and Tesla Semi and how it could unlock autonomy for other Tesla vehicles. Tell us a little more about that to get us started.
I've been dying to know, a couple of just basic questions about the Semi, and really just two questions that I still don't see have been answered. One, is Tesla testing FSD on the Semi? And number two, will FSD be priced differently on the Semi versus any other Tesla vehicle? The reason why I ask that is because I believe that if Tesla solves autonomy, if they reach truly driverless autonomy, then the Tesla Semi will catapult into becoming the number two highest gross profiting vehicle in their entire lineup, only to be topped by the dedicated robo-taxi that they would build, the compact, ostensibly. The reason is because semi-trucks are absolutely seminal for global commerce. So you know about, how trucking, how important trucking is, for example, in the US. 73% of all cargo by volume is shipped by semi-trucks. And it's obviously a part of the lifeblood of global commerce, supply chains. It's one of the most important aspects of transportation. So if you can reduce the cost, which electric autonomous semi-trucks would do significantly, from the current cost, which is basically the cost of the truck, meaning depreciation, fuel cost, maintenance, plus a paid human driver, which who has to take breaks every 8 hours or so. You're not allowed to drive more than that legally, and you're required to take a break for a couple of hours. If you can remove that and have a fully autonomous electric Semi, then costs drop by a factor of 10 or close to 10, and that would be a revolution. Like, that would be a true revolution in transportation. So right now, the total addressable market is around 1 million units. Within
Per year.
Per year, yeah.
Wow.
You take now that it's a little hard to find official data on this, but I think that number combines Class 7 with Class 8. And we know that Tesla is a Class 8 truck, so it might be slightly smaller than that, the total addressable market. But I still think that it's roughly, it's a good round number to look at.
Yeah.
Now, from that's just based on current, capabilities of the Semi, right? Because there's demand relative to cost, right? If costs are pushed down, that can actually generate incremental demand. So, I think that, if you were able to drop costs by 20, 30, 40, 50%, which would, inevitably happen with a fully electric autonomous truck, then I think the total addressable market would expand significantly beyond the current 1 million units per year. We know, if you go back to the presentation that Elon gave originally back in the Semi unveiling, he was basically saying that this is going to be competitive with rail.
Yeah.
And nothing can be competitive with rail on cost. Now, granted, rail will still win out on super long distances, but the majority of trucking happens on short haul distances. So, most routes are, 100 miles or 200 miles or less.
Mhm.
So, there's a substantial, total addressable market out there, and costs would be so low if they were able to pull this off that I see pretty much no reason to believe that they wouldn't mop up a majority market share in this space. Because why would that, why would people continue to buy, legacy OEM trucks when, the Tesla Semi could, cut costs by half or more?
Mhm.
And the other thing too is that, FSD, we talked about, we've been, very bullet. We've been, anticipating it for years, and it keeps getting better. It's definitely great incremental progress, but, truly driverless autonomy, is still probably a few years out. However, for semi trucks, most miles are logged on highways. It's
Mhm.
just, the last couple of miles that are, when you go to drop off or pick up. So, we already know that, FSD works great on highways already.
Mhm.
There's rarely much of an intervention that's
Yeah.
needed on highways.
Yeah, nearly flawless, right?
Right. So I feel like, this is something that could be realizable before we see robo taxis. Now, there would have to be some logistics involved, like, maybe the truck can't drive itself once it took the exit off a highway. So you'd have to figure that out. But, you know, if you could have, significant portions of a drive fully autonomous, that in and of itself is a revolution.
So just as a reminder, the Tesla Semi already is very performant, very effective. There was an event a couple of months ago called Run for Less, where uh, Pepsi shared their results from the event and how the Tesla Semi did. There was a Tesla Semi that went nearly 500 miles, and typically these semis had over 70,000 pounds of load. So they weren't just transporting Frito Lay chips, which are mostly air. They were transporting a lot of water in the form of bottled Pepsi products. So they're very effective, and they make a lot of sense for just moving goods between cities. I'm in Indianapolis, so Cincinnati's a couple hours away. So is Chicago. Um, these are cities that are less than 250 miles away, and there's a lot of firms that run trucks uh, between the Indianapolis and Chicago every day. So they might even send a truck multiple times a day with different drivers. Um, so that this solves a lot of problem. There's tremendous fuel savings. Uh, um, and when Tesla or Elon talks about the semi being as competitive as rail, he's talking about a situation where you might be running these semis in a convoy. So you got a lead semi, and maybe there's a human in that in the front one, and then you have multiple semis trailing and drafting off of that front semi. So saving even further on the energy cost of it. Um, what are some of your thoughts on the economics for Tesla? And what do you think Tesla should do for the price of FSD with the semi?
Yeah. Um, so I did, a sort of rough back of the envelope math, and it's all guesswork as of right now, since we still have no idea what pricing is going to be. Also, we still don't have any color on my original question, which was, is FSD going to be priced differently from every other car? Because, and the reason why I asked that is because FSD is, in my view, more valuable on a form factor like the Semi than, for example, the Cybertruck. So if Cybertruck, let's say 5 years from now, the pricing of FSD is like, say, I don't know, $50,000 by that time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like FSD should be much more than that on the semi because um, the semi has significantly more capacity to haul. And the Cybertruck won't really be an effective robo-taxi. I mean, I'm sure it has some useful applications as a robo-taxi vehicle, but it's not going to have the pull of a semi, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to get a pickup truck, which is used to transport a load, um, then a Class 8 truck is going to have significantly more capacity to do that, right? With like 70 to 80,000 pound payloads for the semi. Which, by the way, that's what Pepsi was testing too. So they were getting, they were pushing 250 to 450 miles on a 70,000 pound payload, right? As you
Mm-hmm.
said. So that's basically a full payload.
Yeah.
Um, and they were still realizing something like 20 to 25% fuel efficiency or fuel cost savings versus like the most efficient diesel trucks out there. They now have real world data on the cost effectiveness of a Tesla Semi, and this is before any kind of autonomous features are added.
Mm-hmm.
That, by the way, is another question that we really haven't heard about, which is in the original presentation, Elon showed a convoy, the convoy platooning technology,
Mm-hmm.
or at least a rendering of that. But we haven't really heard if that's still in the works, or are they going to jump straight to FSD?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have, for example, if we stick to an ASP of say $180,000 for the Tesla Semi, if you again, to me it sounds like what Pepsi was saying is that the Tesla Semi is going to be a no-brainer
Mm-hmm.
for Pepsi to convert their fleet into.
Yeah.
If Pepsi's saying that, I'm pretty sure many others will be in line to do that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So again, semi trucks are not like pickup trucks, and they're not like um, luxury sedans. Pickup trucks and luxury sedans have fierce brand loyalty. So it's obviously Tesla's been making huge strides in taking market share away from those, but there's greater friction in those markets than in the trucking industry,
Mm-hmm.
where for trucking, it's all about dollars and cents. All right, it's all about cost. And so if you can prove in real world driving environments that you can slash costs by, fuel costs by 25%, you can slash depreciation, by 20, 25%. You
Mm-hmm.
can slash maintenance costs by 50% or more. Um, then it's going to be a no-brainer for people to switch over. So, if we're taking the 1 million, total, market of class 7/class 8 semi trucks in North America and Europe, and if you think, Tesla can take 50% market share from that, I have no idea how FSD will be priced. But if you were to kind of take if they're able to solve it, to have a fully driverless truck, then it'd be some sophisticated math where you try to figure out what the present value of a driver's total compensation would be,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe apply some discount to that, and that's how FSD could be priced. That could be somewhere in the ballpark of 100, 150,000, 200,000. We're looking at revenue in the $150 billion range, and gross profit, somewhere close to half that. My basic math is 155 billion in revenue, 65 billion in gross profit. That's a gross margin of 42%.
Mm-hmm.
So the math gets just, bunkers here. And if they do on a per mile rate, for example, then those earnings are those earnings are basically at no additional cost, right?
Mhm.
So the more they have in the fleet, the more fleet buyers have Tesla semis in their fleet, and if they choose to have to pay for FSD on a per mile basis, this is all pure margin at that point, going forward. So, I'm sure Tesla is going to have different pricing options because, for some companies like Pepsi, trucking is a cost center, and for other
Mhm.
companies like JB Hunt, that's their revenue generator, right? That's what they do. So there's going to have to be. I wonder how they'll price it, based on who's buying it. Um, that's another question I had too from with regards to just Tesla vehicles in general, like the Model 3,
Well,
Model Y.
so thinking about how much you're paying a driver, I think companies pay drivers. I think it's over 120,000 a year, just for one driver, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Can they work half the day or maybe 2/3 of a day? Not even. So it's like the value of that driver is, or to have that semi be driven per year is maybe 180,000 or maybe 240,000.
Yeah,
Tesla could easily charge half of that per year.
right.
And then
Yeah,
you talk about like taking a present value of that, going that way. Um, it's it's a lot of money.
it's a lot of money. Yeah, and this is and it's ubiquitous. I mean, this is a massive industry. Um, it's just enormous. Now, obviously, that's going to lead to a lot of job losses if that were actually able to be scaled. Um, but this would be an outright revolution, and so that's why I think that the semi, when you run the math in an FSD in a fully driverless world. Now, obviously, without FSD being perfected, then the semi falls way below on the list of priorities. It would probably fall below even Megapack,
Mhm.
uh, well behind Cybertruck, well behind Model 3, possibly even behind Model 3 even. But with FSD,
I'd say the main negative is you have to have like some charging infrastructure behind it. That does eat into some of the profit for the fleet owners. You may or may not need a mega pack on site, so there's like a significant upfront investment beyond just the truck, and you probably want to be running at least 10 semis from
mhm,
your location. So it may be a little trickier than we're letting on. And there's also the battery use. The Run for Less event showed a semi that used 2.5 times its battery capacity in one day. If you think about Tesla doing things for the mission, for reducing pollution and in transportation, making it more sustainable, there is no other product that Tesla has that's where customers are using the battery 2.5 times a day. Um, so we're wondering, I'm wondering why Tesla isn't more aggressively, looking to ramp the semi, get an automated assembly line going for it, where probably in Texas is where they'll do that. As
mhm.
far as we understand, they're hand built in Nevada right now. Um, what you're saying and what I'm saying with as far as the mission, it seems like Tesla semi should be more of a priority. Um, why do you think that is, that it's not that way?
So my answer to this is going to be controversial among the true fan base, which is
Mhm.
that I think that they're just making a determination that solving FSD is going to take a lot longer than Elon would like.
Mhm.
progress is definitely there, but remember, this is a matter of liability.
Yeah.
And the moment that liability switches from the driver to Tesla is a moment in history to remember.
Yeah.
And that is a whole new. It's a brave new world when
Yeah.
that happens.
Hmm.
So we can I love watching these videos of people with showing their driverless experiences with no interventions and stuff like that. But there's a reason why it's been kept in beta. There's a reason why it hasn't. I think there's a reason why Tesla themselves are not aggressively pricing FSD to sell. Like, for example, all of 2023 they slashed prices on basically everything except FSD. FSD only recently got discounted.
Hmm.
Um, but they didn't start there, and they resisted cutting prices on FSD
Yeah.
until about 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago.
Hmm.
So I think that, because remember, if the goal is autonomy, um, if the goal is robo taxis, why would Tesla be working on a $25,000 car, or a $30,000 car, or a $35,000 car, or even a $50,000 car?
Yeah.
No
You're
robo
right.
taxi would be
In
worth
a way,
$50,000.
it shouldn't matter. If you get autonomy, then the form factor of the car shouldn't matter as much, for sure.
Or the
Yeah,
price of
you have
the
a
car
point.
they should never even be aiming for these low prices.
Hmm.
Um, because if FSD is something that is going to be, if a robo taxi network is within, say, an arm's length away, say next year or even in 2025, then they should be prepping for that world now. But we're seeing lower prices on Teslas. We're seeing movement towards the compact car, right, which is going to be even cheaper. Um, if Tesla is able to launch a robotaxi network, there'd be no reason for them to sell cars for 25 to even
Well,
fifty
let
thousand
me
dollars.
push back here. So I think with Model Y, you have 75 kilowatt hour battery pack, or maybe it's 83. If you could cut that in half, and batteries are a limiting factor, then you're better off having twice as many robo taxis as half as many. So I think maybe batteries are a limitation.
Are you a Teslanaire eager to further grow your Tesla shares? At Rebellionaire.com, Bradford Ferguson and Matt Smith have demonstrated their aptitude, consistently delivering groundbreaking, world-first research featured on platforms like Tesla Daily, Dave Lee on Investing, Solving the Money Problem, Limiting Factor, and Farzad Mesbahi. At Rebellionaire.com, we go beyond just holding shares. We strategically trim and add, capitalizing on the stock market's emotional fluctuations. Our approach involves selecting additional exponential growers like NVIDIA, which we believe are undervalued by Wall Street. We use covered calls to create cash flow from stocks, even those without dividends. Our financial planners craft a personalized master plan using a first principles approach, addressing all aspects of your finances, not just your investments. Our goal is to consistently increase your share count, avoiding missed opportunities during market FOMO or panic selling, and minimizing tax liabilities. If you're ready to enhance your share growth with our help, visit Rebellionaire.com.
So let's talk a little bit about Megapack, because I think Megapack probably comes in number two, as in a product that Tesla is shipping today, where the battery is used much more than it is in a 3Y S or X.
Yeah.
Megapacks, the batteries are used probably at least one full time a day, or 100 percent a day, and it might be as much as 200% a day. We just don't know. Um, what are your thoughts on the economics around a Megapack? There's the importance for the grid, pairing with wind and solar. But then there's just the raw economics to Tesla for Megapack. And I think Wall Street still doesn't fully understand it or willing to price in like how much this is going to grow. They're not even using half of the capacity at Lathrop. I was just there in
Oh yeah.
September. They're not even using half of the 40 gigawatt hour capacity, and they're actually doubling capacity to 80 gigawatt hour.
Mm-hmm.
They broke ground on the site in Shanghai, probably for 80 gigawatt hours, and they're looking to add 100 gigawatt hours of 4680 in Nevada, and some of that will be used for Megapack.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think about Megapack if you're putting your analyst hat on?
No, it's phenomenal. It's amazing because now, for the first time, we're starting to see the economics of the Megapack show up on the financials. Because remember, till now, Tesla Energy was primarily the solar division plus Powerwall, and we know that Tesla Solar has been basically an unmitigated disaster.
Mm-hmm.
But now the mix is shifting towards Megapack, and as of Q3, they just hit basically all-time highs in gross margins for the energy division. I think it was around 25%, which is up significantly from a year ago. So, despite the fact that we had a really dismal year from a earnings standpoint on the auto side, the big bright side for the year 2023 has been on the energy side. Again, it's because the mix has shifted towards Megapack, and you can see the effect of that, the impact of that on gross margins.
Mm-hmm.
Going from single digits percentages to now 25%, and I think the rate of change is to the upside.
Yeah.
So that's huge, and at the same time, it's on a very small base still. So the ramp, the location that we're on the S curve for the auto division is further along than where we are on the S curve for the energy side for Megapack. And we know just from a functional standpoint, the Megapack is the missing link to make renewable energy truly economical.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, I'm in India right now. Solar is prevalent everywhere. Like, I see solar everywhere, rooftop solar, as well as utility scale solar.
Mm-hmm.
It's also huge on hydroelectric power. But the problem with India is that there's no storage. So there's still, constant issues with having rolling blackouts out here.
Mm.
So even though the government and the country overall has made huge strides in increasing renewable energy market share as a percentage of total energy consumption, I think it's well beyond 20% now for India. The missing link has been energy storage to deal with the volatility in the consumption, right, of energy at different times of the day. So, Megapack is, a hand in glove fit with renewable energy production. And so, this, as long as they can continue to show economic, returns for the customer, which they have, it's, again, a no-brainer. Now, as you said, though, they have a little bit more competition here because this kind of is a little bit more of a commodity play compared to the auto division.
Mm-hmm.
But with other products coming on like AutoBidder, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, Megapack. The way Tesla does it's definitely excellent, but essentially it's like a server closet for batteries, where you have this closet size thing, and you're dropping batteries into almost like you would drop blades of a computer servers into, and you still need to hook up your electrical to it, and you also need plumbing to keep the batteries cool and to regulate the temperature, just like you do for a data center.
Yeah.
So it is pretty simple in some ways. I'm sure there's some technology, but there's no supercomputer in these mega packs. So BYD, CATL, LG, all these big companies that provide Tesla with batteries, they're also producing their own big batteries. So they want to have a part in the fun as well.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be where their competition will be, which is their actual battery suppliers. Because
Mhm.
if they can just figure out the software side and the battery management side, the BMS, um, then that's another source of competition. So that's why I say that it's very exciting to see this happen. But at the same time, I'd like to see a little bit more of an example of where Tesla could offer differentiated service.
Mhm.
And so the only thing that I can think of is Auto Bidder, which is capable of doing that right now. But again, we haven't seen Auto Bidder, impact the business as much as we thought it would by now.
Yeah. And Autobidder is the software that Tesla is using to help the company decide when to put energy into the battery and when to push it out, when the ideal time to do that is. That's what Autobidder is all about. If Matt was here, if we're talking 4680, he'd want to share with me. There's this factory in Giga, Nevada we've kind of forgotten about. Hasn't broken ground as far as the expansion, but they had an announcement for it earlier this year, I believe. 100 gigawatt hours of 4680 is the target, and if you look at the $45 per kilowatt hour that's in the Inflation Reduction Act that manufacturers get as a advanced manufacturing tax credit, that's 4.5 billion per year in pure profit just from that. Even if you're not making anything from the 4680s that either go into Megapack or go into Cybertruck or the Robotaxi.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on 4680 for Tesla? We know they're looking to expand 4680 in Giga Texas, and they are changing the line around at the Cato Road research facility, but they're seem to be moving forward pretty confidently with what they're doing in Texas.
Yeah, I'm in the camp of James Catt. Uh, James Catt is one of my favorite follows in Tesla Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, again, very, very bullish on FSD and Optimus, but these are still like, call options basically on, high risk, high reward type, plays.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm a little bit more traditional conservative. I'm not as a big of a thinker as, many people are. But to me, probably the most important thing that Tesla can be working on right now is to get 4680 perfected, up and running, um, at Lathrop. So, because 4680 is the key to the future of the company, because without hardware, none of Tesla's software is going to matter.
Yeah. Without the batteries, right?
Right.
And one other limiting factor might be labor in Giga Nevada. They've been trying to grow the workforce there. It's in Reno. We're not sure who wants to live in Reno, but some people like it. They've been struggling to grow in Giga Nevada, and that might be a limiting factor on when they actually do the expansion. I kind of wonder if Tesla's waiting on Tesla bot doing useful work in a factory before they really expand there in Nevada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
I know that's a
speculation.
little more wild. That might be too wild for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But if
don't
it
have a
can
strong
handle an egg, it
that.
can handle a battery, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. Yeah, I don't have too strong of an opinion on that.
Hmm.
But yeah, this. So I right now I like to measure what we can. I like to look at what we can measure, right?
Hmm.
And right now we can measure car sales, revenue from car sales, revenue from Megapacks, um, revenue from service, and the gross margins that come from all of those.
Hmm.
And gross margins factor in the aspect of FSD that they actually are monetizing today, right? Which is the actual FSD sales plus any subscriptions.
Hmm.
So, as far as we are concerned, FSD is something that um, only impacts or only interests us in terms of what the take rate is today. So, for me, the much bigger goal that Tesla should be attacking would be 4680. If they don't, without 4680 being solved, yes, they can still rely on suppliers. They can still rely on Panasonic and Cattle, but um, you know, those suppliers are not going to be enough for them to scale to their
Yeah.
long-term ambitions.
They have
Um,
their own limits. We felt like LG could just keep on scaling the 2170, and that CATL could just whip up a new factory. And yeah, so there are definite limitations, and with batteries, and yeah, I wonder if there's some limitations with labor. So this has been fascinating. I happen to feel similarly to about Tesla Semi. Yeah, I wish they would have gotten an assembly line going in Giga Texas for Tesla Semi. I think it's very important. But I'm guessing there's some other reasons. There is a bit of infrastructure you need to get a route going. You need the mega chargers. You might need mega packs to kind of smooth out the power draw, and you do need to be using probably at least 10 semis at a location, if not more, to make the economics even more beneficial. Um,
I I think Pepsi said that they were able to charge like to 80% in like 45 minutes.
wow.
So again, this like everything that Tesla's done to make the semi work is nothing short of perfection. So the truck by itself is going to be a substantial savings for the customer. So it's a great deal for the customer. But without FSD, it may not be a great deal for Tesla because gross margin on just the Tesla Semi. My guess is it's probably around 10 to 15%. So it's well below the company average. The company average.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, if FSD becomes a reality, then I've said this before, and I'm not a big fan of making exaggerated statements, but if Tesla solves FSD and if they can solve the 4680 bottleneck,
Mhm.
Tesla Semi becomes the number 2 most important product that Tesla offers. And Tesla would move, I think Tesla would impact aggregate GDP. If they can
Without the
sell,
Tesla bot.
and that's without the Tesla bot, yeah. Because I mean, like we can't state this enough. Like Tesla, Class 8 semi trucks are the lifeblood of the
Yeah,
economy.
they are. If you spend time driving highways, especially at night, on major routes, they are filled with semis. They are energy and transportation are the lifeblood of any big economy. Well, this has been great, Meyer, and I do want to talk to you about another topic that's going to be in our next video. But Mayur Thaker, he is with Zacks Investment Research. He's an equity strategist, and he is at Fresh Jiva on Twitter, JIVA. And appreciate you. I'm going to say bye for now.
Thanks, Brad.